So then they asked me if I would be willing to like let them check me and then try to like maybe change the baby's position while he was still up there because he wasn't coming down. And I was like, okay, you can try. And she's like, and I'm going to hold the lip of your cervix aside so that you can push him out. And I was like, okay. By this point, I was just so done. And I was so tired. I hadn't eaten since the night before because I threw up my breakfast. And I was throwing up my fluids. So, like, I was so tired. So tired. So, they tried. And they tried to do a turning check or check his position or something. And it was so painful. I just like screamed. I couldn't handle it. And she was like, okay, we're not going to do that. She's like, he's kind of in a funny position. So, you need to try to take other positions to turn him and flip him around and, like see if he'll turn and spiral down into the birth canal. And I was like, okay, whatever. And they had me like doing practice pushes and stuff to see if that would help. And it didn't. And so they had me go over to the squatting bar where you like hang on to this bar above you and then you squat down when the contraction comes and you like push as hard as you can basically. And so I tried that and oh my God, that was painful. Oh my God. It like shot pain down my legs and like, oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. And I just like could not take it. I had to do quite a few pushes like that and it just was not working out. And my whole family was there watching. And so then they said, okay, let's try the bed again. Why don't you try pushing some more or something? It's so blurry at this point. But I know I was in pain and I know I was tired. So I go back to the bed. I think I told them I couldn't do the squatting anymore. I was just like, I'm done, guys. I cannot do this anymore. And so I go back to the bed and tried pushing there and it wasn't working. So they actually kicked everyone out of the room besides my husband, and I think my stepmom stayed because she had just gotten there. So she stayed in the room. So because I remember seeing her, but everyone else had to leave, including like the photographers and everyone. So everyone left and they wanted to give me a rest. So they said, okay, turn on your side and see if you can have a little rest and just breathe through the contractions instead of trying to push. And so finally I was like, okay, and I turned on my side and I just had the worst contractions. Boom, 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 right on top of each other. And they were so bad. And I was like, ah, and I heard one of the midwives be like, so much for a rest, I guess. Like, it was really bad. So they're like, okay, let's just keep going. And so they're like, okay, now you need to turn onto your hands and knees and see if we can get the baby turning. Oh, my baby's waking up. Hold on. Okay, so both my babies woke up at the same time. So, where was I? I think I was at the... Okay, you gotta be shh while I do the video, okay? Alright, so I think I was at where they had me on they kicked everyone out of the room. They had me on my hands and knees, and I had to do a couple contractions like that, and I started to totally lose it, apparently. As in screaming, and my throat's actually still raw from it. And so they were like, okay, she's totally losing this. So they had me start doing like and see if I could get through contractions like that because it kind of gave me a focus. And so yeah, we started doing that, and I got through 2 or 3 contractions like that, and then I heard one of the midwives be like, okay, well, maybe he's come down, because I got a pushing contraction. I got one big pushing contraction. I was like, argh! And it, I think I actually got that a couple times. And they're like, oh, well, maybe he's moving down, I heard one of them say. So I was like, so I was kind of like really happy, and they're like, okay, turn over, and we're going to try some practice pushes. Asher's waking up again. I fed him, and now he's waking up again. So I was like, okay, let's try some pushing contractions again. So she's like, I'm not going to invite everyone back into the room, but don't worry, they won't miss the birth. And at that point, I was like, I don't even care, just get the baby out. So yeah, they apparently just wanted to make sure the baby was moving down. And so he was. And I started to do some pushes, and he started moving down finally, and he started turning, and then I wasn't getting the pushing contractions again. Like, I wasn't getting them at all. And so the midwife, I don't know what she did, but she reached inside and she like started pushing on me, like I guess like the baby's head would have pushed on me if he was in the right position, which he wasn't. He was coming down sideways. So she did that, and I got the pushing contraction finally, and I was able to like bear down and like push him out, and he started to spin and turn, and started to come out, thank God. And so she invited everybody back into the room, and there was like cameras going off. It was crazy, and people cheering. It got wild party style. And he started coming out, and I guess he turned a lot, because by this point it only took like 5 minutes for him to come out after that whole ordeal. So he kept turning and then turning and turning, and he ended up coming out sunny side up. So he was face up. And so that really was what the problem was. He was posterior, and but was
That's
first
mommy.
Sideways, and
That's mommy.
that's Mommy and Fia. So yeah, that's what the problem was. That's why he wasn't descending. He wasn't in the proper position. And I had this feeling when I went into labor, and even before labor, that he was going to be in the wrong position, because he was moving so much all the time that by the time I went into labor, he probably was going to be in the wrong position. And he was. So that's the labor and delivery story. It was really long. For me, it was like 12 hours long, and Fia was 8, or no, yours was 10. And it was really intense. It was way more intense than Fia's, because I was so exhausted, so tired, and had been throwing up, was nauseous on every contraction, was just like so tired because I couldn't eat anything, and it had been all day and all night the night before that I hadn't eaten. So I was completely exhausted and completely tired, but he finally came out, and it was wonderful, and he was born. And put him on my chest. They had him on my chest for like 2 hours before they even tried to move him. I was in a ton of pain afterwards, and they always say the pain...
Baby eating.
The baby eats. They always say the pain goes away right after they're born, and this is not the case with me for both of my babies. And I think it might be because Fia came out with her hand by her head, and this one came out spinning, and so like in the wrong position. So I think I have a lot of trauma going on down there. And so I was in a ton of pain for about an hour, like crying, like still having contractions. It was really bad. But after that, it got much better. They gave me some ibuprofen and some Tylenol. After a non-medicated birth, I had to take some medication for the after stuff. But it all turned out good, and he weighed 8 pounds, 5.5 ounces, and that was after they hadn't weighed him for like 2 hours, and he had pooped like 3 times and peed twice. So, yeah, and then he was 21 inches long and perfect. So, yeah, healthy. And that's it. That's our labor and delivery story. It was very long. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye. And I think I'm going to do a postpartum 1 week update.